Oh, hej och välkomna to this video with me, Fredrik. This is the Commodore 64. It is an 8-bit computer originated from 1982, so it's over 40 years old. But that is not a synthesizer, I hear you ask. Well, what is a synthesizer exactly? When we think of the really old computers, they could basically just make beeps, usually in the form of simple monophonic square wave sounds without any settings. But for some strange reason, Commodore decided that they wanted something better. So they, or to be more exact, their subsidiary MOS Technology, designed some new integrated circuits for the Commodore 64. One of them was the SID-chip, which is responsible for the sounds generated by the computer. This SID-chip was not a simple generator of bleep sounds. The person heading the team that designed the SID-chip was Robert Bob Janis, who later co-founded the little company called Ensoniq, which you might have heard of. So maybe we are getting closer to allowing us to call the Commodore 64 a synthesizer after all. The SID-chip has 3 voices, 4 types of waveforms, pulse, with a NICBAT approved PWM, triangle, sawtooth, and noise. You can use ring modulation and hard sync. There is a digitally controlled analog 12 dB multimode filter. This sounds almost a bit like a synthesizer, doesn't it? So what do we need to do to use this as a synthesizer? First, we need a Commodore 64. No surprises there. I sadly did not keep my original C64 from back in the 1980s, but I have bought this one from an online Swedish marketplace. If you do not fancy buying old stuff like this, there is another opportunity now. Christian Simpson, the well-known retro YouTuber Perifractic, has together with some clever people and investors bought Commodore. So you can actually buy a new one from them. It's not exactly the same as this old one, but it sure looks like a good substitute. When you have the computer, we need a couple of more things. First, we need to get the audio out from the computer and into our mixer or sound card or whatever. That is not that hard because one of the pins of the output jack is a mono audio output. So you can either buy some adapter or build your own cable. In my case, I looked it up online and built this cable that has the strange 8-pin contact in one end, and then it splits to an S-video output and a normal tele jack. I will post links to how you do this in the description. But if you don't fancy soldering or building this, you can just buy an adapter. To get the S-video signal into something more modern, I've got this S-video to HDMI converter. But if you have an old CRT television, that will give you the optimal retro feel, of course. Then we need a way to play the synthesizer. You could use the keyboard on the C64, but that is a bit limiting and not really what you have in mind when you say synthesizer. So I would suggest getting a MIDI interface. There are schematics out there if you want to build your own, but I went with getting this one from Tim Harris, who runs the Shareware plus Commodore 64 and 128 blog. So this just plugs into the cartridge port here, and gives you MIDI contacts. Perfect. Then we needed some software. If you start the Commodore, you will only get a prompt where you can write basic code. Let's plug this in so we can see what we're talking about. Where is the power? There we have it. Here you can write basic code, and why not write, whoops, the program that we all have been trying out on these old ones. Fantastic, but not really a synthesizer, is it? The normal thing for a Commodore is to load programs from cassette tapes or disks. You can build a Raspberry Pi to emulate the disk drive, but even then it is very slow. So if we want to use this as a synthesizer, we want to turn it on and be able to play the synth. So you will want to get the software on a cartridge. I've got the CynthCart 64 software. This can be bought as a ready-made cartridge, also from Tim Harris, but I went here with the DIY route. The software can be downloaded from the internet, and you can burn it on a ROM and build a cartridge from schematics online. So I got some PCBs and created this little thing. So this plugs into the cartridge port, and the software is on an EEPROM, which is a erasable, reprogrammable thing. If we want to know more about this, there are lots online, or write a comment if you want me to dig deeper into those things. But okay. Now we have two things we want to use, and there is only one cartridge port on the 64 here. So, how do we do? We don't use excessive force to plug them both in. Instead, we need an Xpander. This is the Mini Xpander Plus, also from Tim Harris, but here you can also find schematics online if you want to build your own. So this is a cartridge port plug in this end, and it gives you two cartridge ports to plug stuff into. I'm not really sure how that actually works, but some clever people have figured it out. This should be all, really. There is also a boss level upgrade you can do to this, which I will talk a bit about later in this video. So stay until the end for more info about that. I have tested before this that the software works, but I haven't tried the MIDI interface yet. So I thought we could try to figure that one out together. So let's see what we can do then. We'll need to turn this off first. Insert the MIDI interface and the software cartridge and plug it into the computer. Trying to see something here. Like so. This maybe looks a bit cyberpunk, steampunk-ish with the bare PCBs, but I kind of like that look. The MIDI interface comes with this plastic box which you can attach so it looks a bit more professional. There are also models, so I can 3D print a case for my cartridge also. But for now we go with this bare thing. Maybe we should plug in a MIDI cable also. So we can get some MIDI information in, maybe, if we're lucky. So let's turn it on then, and hope that we don't get any smoke or other bad things. Ah, there we have it, CynthCart. Hey, this is Frederick from the future in the edit room. When I looked into the things I have filmed for the demo of the CynthCart, I noticed that it was very confusing, so I need to do a reshoot of that. So hopefully it will be a bit better today. So let's look into the CynthCart. This will just be a quick overview of some of the possibilities. I haven't really looked into the software yet, and I don't understand it fully. So, but just to show you a little bit overview of what we have. For example, we can see that we have the waveforms that I talked about. We have the sawtooth. Three voices. If I press 4 notes, I just get 3. So here we have sawtooth. We have, I'm checking the manual at the same time here. Triangle wave. And a square wave. I have mapped some of the CC controls that the manual says that you can use to control it on my keyboard here, so we can test a few things. For example, square wave, we have pulse wave there, and we, for example, have, we can control the attack. And the release. There are quite a lot of different modes you can use. We have the normal poly mode. We have a mode that plays fifths. We can get portamento. And then we have a few mono modes. Let's switch to there are a few presets in the program, and then you can in some way program your own. I'm not really sure how that works, so I will try to figure it out and get back in a later video. But you have, I can show you, you have a quite advanced SID editor where you can type in your own hexadecimal values directly to the chip. So no idea how this works, but you can probably control everything. And of course, this is totally dry, so if we add some shows a lot of tremolo depth, which is one of the controls you can see that can affect. So if we take it down, yeah. Well, this sounds rather cool, so I will definitely try to use the Commodore in some way in my next album or EP. It's definitely useful sounds. Yeah, one more thing. I promised you there is a boss level update you can do to this synthesizer setup. And that is, some clever people have made it possible to attach this little thing. This is, in this way, you have some pins, and on this way you have two sockets for chips. So if you plug this, if you remove the SID chip from the Commodore and insert this, you can actually plug in two SID chips and get 6 voices, or a massive 6 oscillator monophonic synth. So that is next for me to try out. There are a few places where you can buy these, but I've built this myself. Unfortunately, I didn't film when I'm doing this, but there are some good tutorials online. It's not too complicated if you learn a bit about soldering. This means you have to open the Commodore and do some extra soldering to get so you can get stereo out. Then you have another pin here that you have to solder into the computer somehow. So that will be something for the next part of my Commodore's synthesizer video. Hopefully I won't fry my computer, so we have something to listen to. If I do, I guess I have to order one from the new Commodore company. One thing though, you might have heard when I play this, the SID-chips are old, and I get some distortion when playing it. I think that the filters are giving up, which is a quite common problem with them. So just to test it out, there are some FPGA-based emulations, or whatever you call the FPGA. So I have ordered the ArmSid, which should be a good substitute for the original SID chip. So I will try to plug those in here when they arrive. So hopefully we will get some more sounds out of it. Yeah, that would be all, I think. Now I leave you back with the old Fredrik from the past again. And another thing, can your synthesizer do this? Hey, did you know I have enabled the YouTube membership option and a Patreon page? There are some perks there, but you should see it mainly as a way of supporting me even more than watching my videos and listening to my music. The more support I get, the more it will enable me to do more music and videos. Thank you very much.